Hello everyone! In this video I'm going to be working on my December album using the Thompson's Craft Supplies Frosty Winter Kit. I'm hoping to have a number of videos on my December album. So this week's video is going to be about making the album cover and decorating it in a mixed media style. Next week I'm going to be working on the innards of the album, doing some prep and stuff, prepping my pages, and then throughout December hopefully I will have some process videos for you on me actually filling in the album. But yes, this video is on the cover. So this is the album that comes in the kit, this little 10 by, oh, I've already forgotten the measurements. Make that 8 by 2.5 inches. Now it did come with rings, however I have unfortunately misplaced them. I'm not entirely sure where I put them and I can't find them. I know, bad design team behaviour, Grace, but I've got some spares, so it's okay. So with this, as well as the very thick chipboard covers, you get loads of this beautiful quality mixed media paper inside, which I am definitely going to use. However, for me, this album is just a little too small. Regulars to my channel will know even with doing journal spreads, I like a big space to do it in. So I'm going to take this and use it as the foundation for making a slightly bigger album. If you would like some ideas, however, on just using this, then there are 2 blog posts on the Thompson's Craft Supplies blog that other design team members have done their albums just using this. So I will link those blog posts if you would like to see them. Yes, for me, I'm going to use it as a foundation. I've got some more chipboard here to use and I'm just going to extend things a little bit. So things that I'm going to use is obviously this album, some chipboard. I will probably need some more. I've got loads over there. 4 rings. I'm also going to be needing my We Are Memory Keepers crocodile because of, you know, punching holes in chipboard, and some eyelets. So I'm just going to make this and then we will decorate it. Now I have bought myself some of these 4x4 Project Life photo pocket protector, page protector things, just straight 4x4 and then little bitty 2x2 ones. So I need to use these to help me figure out where the holes need to be. So obviously they will fit into my album when the time comes, if I can figure out how to open them. So using this and this as a guide, I'm just going to sort of use this to measure out how much space or how big I need to make my album. So obviously it's going to be 8 inches wide. And then if I just sort of work out roughly how much room I need either side to fit these in, lining the holes up, then let's measure that out. I need to make it 10 inches tall, so 10 by 8, so it's going to be quite a big album, but you guys know what I'm like, go big or go home. So I'm going to measure out 2 10 by 8 pieces of chipboard, cut them up and come back to you. Right, now I've got those 2 made, I'm just going to use this as a little guideline for where I need to punch my holes. So I've got this pretty much in the center and I'm just going to line up that hole, mark where that is, mark where that hole is, and then do it on the other side as well. So with those all marked up, I have used this as a guide to figure out how deep I need my little hole punchy bit here. I don't know all the different words on a crocodile, I'm sorry, but I'm using the 3/16 of an inch punch because it's a little bit bigger, and then I'm just going to line that up there and chop. Right, there's those 2 holes done. I'm just going to make sure those line up. Yes, those are fine. Let's do the other ones. I flipping love this thing. It took me a very long time to finally get a crocodile, but oh my goodness, the way it cuts through chipboard, it's like it's cutting through butter. It's just glorious. If anyone has any tips for anyone who doesn't have one of these, how to, you know, punch through chipboard with another tool, then please put them in the comments, because I honestly don't know, but I'm sure some of you guys will have some ideas for something that's maybe a bit cheaper for anyone watching who wants to give this a go. So I'm just going to double check all my holes line up like I want them to. There we go. And then I'm going to use this one as a template to cut this one. And then again, using the 3/16 of an inch part of the punch to punch these holes. Where's it gone? So yes, lining that up. There we go. Quite boring, I realised, to watch this bit. We'll get to some more interesting stuff very soon. Right, there's that done. So there is the main part of the cover done. I'm just going to test with these rings that everything's going to fit through and everything's going to work, so to speak. I bought these rings from eBay, I believe. However, if anyone knows where I can get some gold ones from, not that I'm going to use gold for this album because obviously the Frosty Winter Kit is a silvery theme, but yes, if anyone knows where I can get some gold ones for future reference, that would be really helpful. At a decent price as well. I don't agree with paying ridiculous prices for these. There we go, all ready to decorate. Right, let's get our decoration on. Before I start decorating, however, I just want to put eyelets through this bit, because obviously I'm going to stick this bit onto this bit, and when it's on there I can't really put the eyelets through this bit. So the eyelets are going on first for these holes, and then after decorating for these holes. So I will just do that. These eyelets are probably going to get covered up a little bit by the mixed media, so I'm going to use this kind of slightly unattractive grey colour for these ones, and then I'll use a prettier colour for the other holes because they're, you know, going to be seen more. Right, I already have the eyelet set apart on the right settings, so I'm just going to put that in. Smoosh! I enjoy doing that way too much. And then put the second one in and smoosh. You have to say smoosh when you do it, by the way. It's the law. All right, decorating time. Let's get on it. All right then, let's get going. So first off, I'm going to add a layer of gesso to all of my chipboard pieces here. Just normal gesso, not heavy, not clear, just the kind of cheap normal gesso. I use the Dale Rowney stuff. I will link it. I think it's great personally. But yeah, just covering everything in that. And I'm on the bigger pieces, I'm going to cover the inside and the outside of them. But on the little piece that's going on my front cover, I'm not going to do the inside because I don't really need to, because you're not going to see that part. And I'm going to use some Prima Gloss Gel Medium, the 3D one, to adhere that little piece to the front cover and then gesso it afterwards once that's dry. Now, a little thing I want to say about the gloss gel, which has just occurred to me as I was filming this video, is that a lot of you have asked me about gel medium and using it in mixed media and stuff, and are there cheaper alternatives to the Prima and questions like that. And the answer is yes, there are cheaper alternatives. Of course there are. And some of them I've used are fine, but I personally think the Prima is head and shoulders above the rest. And I know it's not cheap. It's about between £10 to £15 for an 8-ounce pot. But what I will say about it is that pot I've got there, which has about a third left, maybe slightly less than a third, it was given to me as a gift by Louise as a sort of welcome to the design team gift all the way back at the end of December last year, and I still have that amount left. Now, I'm not saying I use it every day and I don't use it for every project, and sometimes I use the matte medium instead of the gloss, but still it's lasted almost a year, and so I think that's pretty good going. So I know it's an investment, it's a bit annoying to pay that amount in one lump kind of thing, but it is going to last you a very, very long time. So yeah, that wasn't an advertisement or something, it was just like genuinely recommending a product that I really think is great. So anyways, moving on. Once all my gesso is dry, I'm going to do the inside covers now. I've added the used the snowflake stencil from the kit and some modelling paste just to add these little snowflakes. I'm keeping my inside covers relatively simple, and yeah, just added those snowflakes, and then I'm going over all of it with the silver acrylic paint that comes in the kit. Now, when I first put it on, I did start to worry because I was like, this is actually quite dark, like it looked a bit gunmetal grey kind of thing. But it actually dries a lot lighter than that. I think I should have known already because I'd already used it in my project I did last week, the scrapbook layout, but I'd only used it in little bits on that project, and I'm doing, you know, big areas with this one. But yeah, it does dry a lot lighter than it paints on. And then here for my front cover, again, I'm adding the snowflakes with that modelling paste. That is the Pebeo, I'm never quite sure how to say that one. The high density modelling paste. It's pretty darn good. So just adding those all over the front. And then after that, I'm going to take this other snowflake stencil that I have. It's one of the Phil Martin stencils. I will link it if I can. And I'm actually going to use the gloss gel for this. Gloss gel actually makes a really nice texture paste for stenciling. I just kind of forget to do that with it, but when you paint over it, you kind of get a nice little sheen, but you also get the texture as well. So that's what I've done with that. And now I'm going to paint my outside parts of the covers, and the paints I'm using here, hang on, I have written myself a little list. I've got Deco Art Dazzling Metallics, White Pearl and Peacock Pearl, Folk Art Acrylic and Cayman Blue. Those are the two blues I mixed together just then. And then I'm also going to use Do Crafts Artiste in Frosted Mint, which is my personal favourite out of that little selection. So with the blues I used there, it was just a little too dark for what I wanted. So I'm adding some more of the Frosted Mint and the White Pearl, and then just getting a slightly lighter colour there. Although I do kind of like that it's kind of darker in the middle. It's always good to have a mix of colours because then you get more sort of depth and texture and all of that kind of thing. And then, because I had a lot of that paint left, I was like, I might as well paint that on the back cover as well. And then I started painting and thought, I'm going to regret it if I don't put some texture on this first. So I painted like, I don't know, a third of it, and I'm going to add again snowflakes and modelling paste, just so again I had that little bit of texture on the back cover. I'm not going to do loads to my back cover, just like a little bit, but tie it in with what's on the front and stuff like that. So anyways, modelling paste now dry. I am now going to finish off painting that using the remainder of that paint over there. And then I thought I'd just add a little bit of the Frosted Mint just on its own. Just, again, adding some more depth and stuff. And I actually really like the way that looks. I think you can see it better when I do it on the front cover. But just adding that on top of that blue colour, I don't know, it just gives it a more frosty effect kind of thing, kind of in the name of the paint as it were, but it does that little sheen. It kind of reminds you of when ice kind of moves over things and things start to get frozen and frosty. I'm going to say frosty a lot in this voiceover, I feel, but so you are warned. But yeah, it's just going over with that. And then I'm going to go back to the silver paint from the kit, and then just using this sort of a very, very hard, firm brush, I'm just going to stipple silver paint around the edges of both the front and the back cover. Kind of, again, it adds that kind of frosted effect. It's like the ice version of patina. Does that make sense? The ice version of just like at the edges, just like the little where the cold comes in. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm adding silver paint to the edges and I'm stippling it on. That's what I'm doing. I'm also going to sort of stipple it a little bit over the snowflakes as well, just to add a little bit more sort of it highlights them a little bit when you've put the silver on there. And then on the front cover, where I've got my panel in the middle from the, you know, the original album, I'm also going to sort of do the silver around the edge of that, just to like show how it's another layer, it's another sort of step up kind of thing. And it sort of, and it highlights it as well, putting that darker silver paint around the edges of that. So after that, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Right, yeah, no, I'm going to go to my inside covers. Oh wait, I'm still stippling. Stipple away, Grace. With your, it does dry very quickly when you do this, by the way, so you do want to make sure you wash out your brush, flipping immediately afterwards, because otherwise that's just going to dry on your brush. But anyways, I'm kind of going to do the reverse of that effect on the inside covers. So the outside covers are the bluey turquoisey colour with silver around the edges, and then the insides are the opposite, the silver with the bluey around the edges. So again, I'm just doing the exact same, making my brush with only like a minimal amount of paint on it, so I get that sort of dry brushing effect, stippling that around the edges. And also I did it a little bit more on the inside cover where I'm doing it over the snowflakes as well, just to highlight those a little bit more. And one thing I've forgotten to say, during all the layers of painting, gesso, acrylic, all the layers, I am making sure not to go over my holes for the album rings, obviously. And if I do go over them, I'm going to scoop out any paint that gets in those holes, because you do not want that paint to dry, because then your rings aren't going to go through the holes, or when you put the eyelets through, they're not going to go on there properly and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes I use the end of my brush, sometimes I use the baby wipe just to kind of scoop out any paint. Just then, by the way, in case you're wondering, I had some paint I'd mixed left over and I didn't want to waste it because it was so pretty. So I grabbed one of the pages from the original album and just used the last of the paint to just cover that page. And that's one of my pages prepped for December. Woohoo! So anyway, now I'm just adding a teensy little bit of sprays. I've got Distress Spray Stain in Picket Fence and Lindy's in Delphinium Turquoise. I've sprayed those really close to the cover there, and I'm just splattering on some more of the turquoise as well. And I've just sort of, that's just kind of just to make it like a darker area where I'm going to put most of my embellishments. This bit here, I'm adding, this is the branding strip from, if you saw last week's video when I did the scrapbook layout, the paper that I was super obsessed with, the Reminisce one. Of course I kept the branding strip. I had to, so I'm using that branding strip and adding it onto my album. I did distress the edges with a distress tool, and I'm also adding distress oxide in tumbled glass around the edge and just adding those on with gloss gel medium. I should say at this stage, anything that gets stuck down, I'm using gloss gel medium, so hopefully I don't need to repeat myself on that one. And also anything that's paper or cardstock or sticker or whatever that's going down is also going to have the tumbled glass distress oxide just put around the edges. It is the perfect colour for this project. It came out, not the last release of distress oxides, but the release before that, and when Tim announced that one was coming out, I was actually watching in my garden and I said yes really loudly, so what my neighbours must think of me, I have no idea. But anyways, here I am going to, those flowers are not stuck down yet, by the way. I was just putting them down to sort of figure out where they were going to go, but I'm going to just have December there on that panel. The alphas I'm using are the Simply Creative Glittery Foam White alphas. You do need to watch out because there's white ones and there's cream ones, and so yeah, keep an eye out, because if you go to buy them you're like, these aren't very white, it's because there's cream ones too. But so yes, I've just splooshed my gel over the area where the December is going and put it down. I did use that little Filofax sort of marker ruler, which I use as alpha alignment, just to make sure the December was nice and straight, or as straight as I could get it. I'm not very good at putting alphas down straight, but as straight as I could. And then here I'm just cutting and ripping up bits of tulle. I'd used them in last week's scrapbook layout with this kit, and I really like the way that looks. So I wanted to bring them into this, the tulle that is, into this project as well. So I've got normal tulle, which is just like that thicker sort of dress stuff that you use for dressmaking, and then I've got the really light stuff, which has also got like the little gems and silver stars on, which is super pretty. So again, just strips of that going on. And then before I added the rest of my embellishments, I wanted to just, I don't know, add a little bit more something colour wise, not just the tulle. So these long sticker strips are from the K's Craft sticker sheet from the kit, and I'm just adding those, the snowflakes, and then this sort of, what are it, just like this kind of like Nordic Christmassy pattern, that's what we call it. Oh, actually first, before I stick things down, I wanted to add a darker colour element to the whole thing, just to, you know, add a bit more depth. I wanted to do navy, but the navy spray I have is the Heidi Swap Colour Shine one, and it is a very dark navy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't right for this project. So instead I got just a little scoop out of the Nouveau embellishment mousse in old navy, mixed it with a fair amount of water, just to kind of make a shimmery paint, which is one of the many things you can do with the embellishment mousse, and then just putting that all over. I started off just splattering, and then I did some like more smooshy areas painting it on, and I am going to go back and do a little bit more of that in a bit, because I really like that effect. Like, it's dark enough that I get that depth element to it, but not too dark that you're like, ugh, that doesn't look quite right. And it's shimmery as well, so double trouble. So I'm sticking down my embellishments here, those two beautiful flowers from the kit. Everybody loves those so much. A lot of these bits I'm putting down as well. Just want to shout out to the lovely Josie, because she gave me a lot of the bits that I'm putting down now. Those little minty coloured flowers and the resin flowers and stuff were gifts from her. So thank you again, Josie, for those. Look, they're being used. I've also got those like glass bead sort of cabochon-y things. Now, I won't be able to link those, and I'll tell you for why. They are actually sent to me in error. I ordered some epoxy stickers, you know, just the clear ones, so you can make your own epoxy stickers, and they sent me these flat glass beads instead. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't read the description wrong. You said they were epoxy stickers and these are glass beads. So I complained, got my money back, but they didn't want me to send them back to them, so yeah, there we go. So, but I can't link them, because if I link them, you might actually get the right item that I wanted sent to you. Anyways, so yeah, I did a whole cluster of resin flowers and a couple of little smaller glass beads and stuff all in that area. I added some more of the embellishment mousse paint, I suppose, that I had created, and then I added 2018 with these silver Simply Creative thickers again. And once I'd stuck those down, I just put a little bit more of that Nouveau pasty mixy stuff on top of those silver numbers, not letters, just to, I don't know, the silver was a bit too bright. Obviously we want silvery things on this because that's the colour we're going for, but there was just too much. So just putting that on top of there just toned them down a bit. I also added some stars and gems, again, Simply Creative ones. I just have a lot of these in my stash, okay? And yeah, just added those in that sort of long strip I've got going on the front cover. And then I took the back cover as well, because I wanted it to tie in with the front. I'm doing the same thing with the Nouveau paste, doing a mix of painting it on and splattering it on. And then once I've done that, I'm going to take some gesso, water it down by a fair amount of watering it down, and then I'm going to splatter that all over both the front and the back covers. I did some big splatters, and then I thought actually I think I would like smaller splatters, so I'm just using one of my palette knives and using that to tap on my brush, and that's how you get like the really small, like fine little splatters just all over the place, and it adds this really lovely sort of snowy effect and a sort of a shabby sort of, yeah, you know what I mean. But there are lots and lots of those going on. It kind of went on for a long time. I did cut out a fair bit of that footage there. And then once I've got all that gesso splatters on, I'm just finishing with a little bit of Heidi Swap Colour Shine in the colour, well, not colour, it's sheer, so it's not coloured, it's just translucent and sparkly, so you can't really see what's happening, but once it's dry, it's just little elements of extra shimmer and sparkle, and that's exactly what I wanted for this. So right, there we go. Well, that took a while. It was definitely a labour of love, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty proud of it. I was going for a sort of frosty, wintry, shabby chic, and I think I may have achieved that. Now, off camera, I did just set my eyelets into place on the front and the back. I used a dark teal on the back and then the light sort of icy colour on the front. Added my rings, of course, and yeah, I added a little bit of gesso just over the 2018 here and on the December, just to tone down the silver of the 2018 just a little bit more and tie it into the whole thing, and then gesso on the December as well, again just to tone it down a little bit, tie it all together. But yes, there we go, it is finished. I'm undecided at this time if I'm going to do anything extra to the inside covers. I don't think I am. I might add papers in the middle instead of any more mixed media. I'm undecided. I have also ordered some larger rings, some 50mm ones, just in case these ones are not big enough. But yes, other than that, I am finished. So thank you so much for watching this longer than usual video. I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to check back next week, next Friday, to see what I do to prep my pages for the album. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Links in the description as always. I am now going. Thank you again. Bye.